When I was 62, my boss told me, "Martha, you're too old and useless now. You need to make room for younger people," dismissing my 30 years of service. As I left the office, I turned back one last time and said, "One day you'll regret this, David." He smiled. 1 year later, in the same office, but this time sitting at my desk and signing his termination papers, he wasn't smiling anymore. Comment where you're watching from and stay until the end, because this isn't just a story about age discrimination. It's justice's sweetest revenge. My name is Martha. I'm 62 years old, and I worked at the same company for 30 years. Riverside Marketing Solutions was a mid-sized advertising firm located in downtown Denver's heart. I started working there when I was 32 as a junior account coordinator. After 30 years, I was Senior Vice President of Client Relations. I was the company's longest-serving employee, most experienced account manager, and the only person many major clients trusted. David Thompson was the company's CEO. He was 45, had an MBA, wore expensive suits, and thought of himself as a leader in the modern business world. David had taken ownership of the company from the previous owner 5 years ago. I was 17 years older than David, and this had always bothered him. Until that day, everything was going normally. I would come to the office at 8 in the morning, organize client meetings, provide leadership to my team, and manage the company's biggest accounts: Henderson Construction, Colorado Energy, Rocky Mountain Bank. They were all my clients, and they were all happy working with me. But that Monday morning, everything changed. David called me to his office. It wasn't unusual. We had regular meetings. But this time, there was a different energy. David was sitting behind his desk, hands clasped, serious expression. Human Resources Director Nancy Williams was also sitting across from him. This was not a regular meeting. "Martha, sit down, please," David said. His tone was formal, not friendly. "Good morning, David, Nancy. What can I do for you?" David took a paper in his hands. "Martha, we need to discuss your future here at Riverside." My future. I was confused. "Is there a problem?" "Martha, you've been a valuable employee for many years. But we've been evaluating our team structure, and we've decided to make some changes." Nancy took over. "Martha, the company is moving in a new direction. We're focusing on digital marketing, social media campaigns, younger demographics. We need fresh perspectives, new energy." "I understand the business is evolving," I said. "I've been adapting my methods, learning new technologies." David interrupted. "Martha, that's exactly the issue. You're trying to adapt, but frankly, this is a young person's game now. Our clients want to work with people who understand their market, people who can relate to modern consumers." "David, my clients are very happy with my work. Henderson Construction just renewed their contract for another 3 years because of my relationship with them." "That's old-school networking, Martha. That's not sustainable in today's market." Nancy leaned forward. "Martha, we're not questioning your past contributions, but we need to be realistic about the future. You're 62 years old. Most of our competitors have teams averaging 28 to 35 years old. Age brings experience, wisdom, established relationships." David stood up. "Martha, let me be direct. You're too old for this business. Modern marketing requires speed, technology skills, cultural awareness that comes naturally to younger people. You can't compete with a 28-year-old who grew up with social media." I felt like I'd been slapped. David, are you firing me because of my age? We're restructuring your position to make room for new talent. We're offering you a generous severance package, 6 months' salary, full benefits through the end of the year, and a positive reference. This is illegal. You can't fire someone because of age discrimination. Nancy spoke up. We're not firing you for age. We're eliminating your position due to company restructuring. It's completely legal. David sat back down. Martha, be practical. Take the severance. Enjoy early retirement. You've worked hard for 30 years. Relax. Travel. Spend time with family. I don't want to retire. I love my job. I'm good at it. My clients depend on me. Your clients will be reassigned to younger account managers who can better serve their needs. The words hit me like a physical blow. 30 years of building relationships, developing expertise, creating value for the company, all dismissed because I was too old. David, I built half of this company's client base. Henderson Construction came here because of me. Colorado Energy stayed when other firms tried to poach them because of my relationship with their CEO, Rocky Mountain Bank. Martha, those relationships belong to the company, not to you. Any competent account manager can maintain them. Any competent account manager, as if my 3 decades of experience meant nothing. I looked at Nancy. This is wrong, and you know it. Nancy avoided eye contact. Martha, the decision has been made. You can accept the severance package gracefully, or we can make this difficult. What does that mean? David leaned forward. It means we start documenting performance issues, missed deadlines, difficulty adapting to new systems. Your choice. They were threatening me. After 30 years of loyalty, dedication, and success, they were threatening to destroy my reputation if I didn't quietly disappear. I stood up slowly. When do you want me gone? Today would be best, David said. Clean out your office, say goodbye to your team. We'll handle client transitions internally. Today, we'll announce that you've decided to pursue other opportunities. Very amicable. I walked to the door, then turned back. David, I've given this company 30 years of my life. I've generated millions in revenue, built lasting client relationships, mentored dozens of young employees, and you're throwing me away like garbage because of a number. David's expression didn't change. Martha, business is business, nothing personal. Everything about this is personal. I opened the door, then turned back one more time. David, you're making the biggest mistake of your career. And someday, you're going to regret this. David smiled condescendingly. Martha, I wish you the best in retirement. The walk back to my office felt like walking through fog. 30 years of memories, relationships, achievements, all ending with a cardboard box and a security escort. My team was shocked. Jennifer, my assistant, started crying. Martha, what happened? Why are you packing? I'm leaving the company, Jennifer. They've decided to go in a different direction. But you are this company. You know more about these clients than anyone. Apparently, that doesn't matter anymore. Mike, one of the junior account managers, helped me pack. This is insane, Martha. You're the best manager we have. Clients love you. Not according to management. As I packed my personal items, I thought about everything I was leaving behind. Not just the job, but the identity I'd built over 3 decades. I was Martha, the account manager who never lost a client. Martha, who could solve any crisis. Martha, who young employees came to for advice. Now I was just Martha, too old to be useful. Security walked me to my car. In the parking lot, I sat for a moment, looking back at the building. 30 years ended in 30 minutes. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept replaying the conversation, David's dismissive tone, Nancy's uncomfortable silence. Too old? Can't compete with younger people. Take your severance and disappear. But as the night wore on, anger replaced hurt. They thought I was finished, washed up, irrelevant. They had no idea what I was capable of. The next morning, I called my financial advisor, Patricia Chen. Patricia, I need to discuss my investment options. Martha, you have substantial savings, plus the inheritance from your mother's estate that we invested conservatively. You're in excellent financial shape for retirement. I'm not interested in retirement. I want to talk about business investments. What kind of business investments? How much liquid capital do I have access to? Patricia did some calculations. With your savings, investment portfolio, and the real estate you inherited, you could access approximately $3.2 million without significant tax penalties. $3.2 million. David had no idea. Patricia, I want you to research Riverside Marketing Solutions. Financial situation, debt structure, ownership details. Are you thinking of investing in your old company? Something like that. Over the next few months, I learned everything about Riverside's financial situation. They were profitable, but leveraged. David had borrowed heavily to buy the company and fund expansion. They had significant overhead, expensive lease agreements, and several major loans coming due. More importantly, I started reaching out to my former clients, not to badmouth the company, but to stay in touch and see how they were doing with the transition. The responses were telling. Henderson Construction's CEO, Robert Henderson, was frustrated. Martha, the new account manager doesn't understand our business. They keep proposing campaigns that don't fit our market. We're considering switching agencies. Colorado Energy's marketing director, Susan Lopez, was equally unhappy. Martha, we miss working with you. The new team seems very young, very inexperienced. They don't grasp the complexity of our industry. Rocky Mountain Bank's VP of Marketing, James Miller, was direct. Martha, frankly, we're not impressed with the service since you left. If you ever start your own agency, call us. Start my own agency. That phrase stuck in my mind. 6 months after being fired, I registered Wilson Marketing Consultancy. Small office, minimal overhead, just me and a virtual assistant. But I had something David's young team didn't: relationships, experience, and reputation. My first client was Henderson Construction. Robert Henderson signed immediately. Martha, we've been waiting for this. Riverside just doesn't understand our needs like you do. Colorado Energy followed within a week. Then Rocky Mountain Bank. Within 3 months, I had 5 major clients, all former Riverside accounts. But I wasn't done. I was just getting started. Through Patricia, I learned that Riverside was struggling. Losing major clients created cash flow problems. David had to let go several employees, including some of the young talent he'd hired to replace me. That's when I made my move. I contacted David directly. David, I hear business has been challenging lately. Martha, what do you want? I have a proposition. I'm interested in acquiring Riverside Marketing Solutions. Silence. Then laughter. Martha, you can't be serious. I'm very serious. I have the capital, and I think I can turn the company around. You want to buy the company that fired you? I want to buy the company that made a strategic error in judgment. David was still chuckling. Martha, even if you had the money, why would I sell to you? Because you're about to default on your loans, lose your best clients, and face bankruptcy. I'm offering you a way out. The laughter stopped. What are you talking about? David, I know your financial situation, your debt to revenue ratio, your upcoming loan payments, your cash flow problems. You need either new capital or a buyer. I'm offering to be the buyer. How much? $2.1 million for the company, assuming all debts and obligations. The company is worth at least $4 million. Was worth $4 million when it had stable clients and experienced management. Now, with declining revenue and upcoming debt obligations, $2.1 million is generous. David hung up. 2 weeks later, he called back. Martha, let's talk. The negotiations took a month. David tried to hold out for more money, but his financial situation deteriorated daily. More clients left, loan payments came due, and his young team couldn't stop the bleeding. Finally, David accepted my offer. $2.1 million, all cash, immediate transfer of ownership. The day I signed the papers, I walked back into the Riverside office as the owner. The same office where David had fired me for being too old and useless. I called an all-staff meeting. The remaining employees gathered in the conference room, about half the original team. They looked nervous, uncertain about their futures. Good morning, everyone. For those who don't remember me, I'm Martha Wilson. I worked here for 30 years before leaving last year. I could see recognition in their faces, especially among the longer-term employees. I'm pleased to announce that I've acquired Riverside Marketing Solutions. I am now the owner and CEO. The room was silent. Jennifer, my former assistant, looked shocked but pleased. I want to assure everyone that my priority is rebuilding this company's reputation and client base. We're going to return to the core values that made Riverside successful: experience, relationship building, and client service. I looked around the room. David wasn't there. Part of the sale agreement was his immediate resignation. I'll be meeting with each of you individually to discuss your roles and our path forward. But I want to be clear. Age, experience, and institutional knowledge are assets here, not liabilities. After the meeting, Jennifer approached me. Martha, I can't believe it. You bought the company? I did. What about David? David is pursuing other opportunities. Will you be rehiring the people he let go? The good ones, yes. We'll need experienced people to rebuild. Over the next few months, I brought back several employees who had been restructured out. Not just older employees, but good people of all ages who had been sacrificed for David's vision of a younger, hipper company. I also brought back the clients: Henderson Construction, Colorado Energy, Rocky Mountain Bank. They all returned, along with new clients who were attracted to our reputation for experienced, relationship-based service. Within 6 months, Riverside was more profitable than it had been in years. One morning, Jennifer buzzed my intercom. Martha, there's someone here to see you. Says his name is David Thompson. Send him in. David walked into my office, the same office where he'd fired me. But now I was behind the desk, and he was the one asking for something. Martha? David, what can I do for you? David looked uncomfortable, older, less confident. I heard you were hiring. We are always looking for good people. I was wondering, I have experience in this industry. I know the business. I leaned back in my chair. David, remind me of your philosophy about age in the workplace. David shifted uncomfortably. Martha, I made some mistakes. What kind of mistakes? I undervalued experience. I thought newer was automatically better. And now? Now I realize that experience, relationships, institutional knowledge, these things matter. They can't be replaced by youth alone. What position are you interested in? I'd be willing to start in an account management role, prove myself again. I considered this. David had humiliated me, dismissed my worth, thrown away my 30 years of loyalty. He had assumed I was finished, washed up, too old to fight back. But I had fought back. I had proven that age was not a limitation, that experience was valuable, that dismissing someone because of a number was not just morally wrong, but strategically stupid. David, I appreciate you coming in. Unfortunately, we're looking for people who understand the value of all employees, regardless of age. People who believe in respect, loyalty, and long-term thinking. Martha, I've learned from my mistakes. I understand now that I was wrong. I'm sure you have learned. But the position I have available requires someone who already understood these values, not someone who had to learn them the hard way. David's face fell. So you won't hire me? David, when you fired me, you said business is business, nothing personal. Well, this is business. And business-wise, I can't risk hiring someone who might make the same judgment errors that nearly destroyed this company. David stood up. Martha, I'm sorry. I was wrong to fire you. I was wrong about everything. David, I accept your apology, but consequences aren't erased by apologies. After David left, I sat in my office, and reflected on the journey. When I was 62, my boss told me, Martha, you're too old and useless now. You need to make room for younger people, dismissing my 30 years of service. As I left the office, I had turned back one last time and said, one day you'll regret this, David. He had smiled. 1 year later, in the same office, but this time, sitting at my desk and rejecting his job application, he wasn't smiling anymore. The company thrived under my leadership. We won back old clients, attracted new ones, and built a reputation as the agency that combined cutting-edge strategy with deep experience and relationship management. I hired people of all ages, young people with fresh ideas, middle-aged professionals with proven track records, and older workers with decades of wisdom. The diversity of perspectives made us stronger, more creative, more effective. 2 years later, Riverside Marketing Solutions was named Denver's Small Business of the Year. In my acceptance speech, I said, success in business isn't about age. It's about competence, dedication, relationships, and the wisdom that comes from experience. Companies that dismiss valuable employees because of arbitrary factors like age don't just hurt those individuals. They hurt themselves. I never mentioned David by name, but everyone in the industry knew the story. The lesson? Never underestimate someone because of their age. Never assume that experience is less valuable than youth. And never, ever dismiss someone who has 30 years of knowledge, relationships, and determination. Because that person might just come back and buy your company. David learned that age isn't a limitation. It's an asset. Experience isn't outdated. It's invaluable. And when you treat people with respect and recognize their worth, they'll move mountains for you. When you don't, well, they might just move mountains anyway, right over your business. Today, Riverside Marketing Solutions employs 45 people, ranging in age from 24 to 67. We celebrate experience, embrace innovation, and prove every day that the best teams combine the energy of youth with the wisdom of experience. And David? He eventually found work at a smaller agency. I heard he's much more respectful of all employees now, regardless of their age. Sometimes the best lessons are the ones that cost you everything to learn.